Hello once again. Welcome to these online videos that I'll be giving you over the course of the holidays. Alright, so this video is basically for those learners who are still starting out in chess. It's a very simple video. It will just go over some of the basics so that the young people don't get lost when we are discussing the more advanced topics. All right, so in this video I'll just basically go over some of the basic principles, which the basic elements of chess. The first one is I'm going to start off by going over the chess pieces. All right, so this piece that I've highlighted here with the green circle, it's called a pawn. It's called a pawn, and it's worth 1 point in a game of chess. Okay, so the pawn only moves in one direction, and that is forward. It only moves in one direction, and that is forward. So an example of a pawn move would be this here: pawn moving up 2 squares, or a pawn moving 1 square. Okay, those are 2 examples of a pawn move. All right, so when the game is starting out, a pawn can, or rather when a pawn is making its first move, it can start off by making it can start off by jumping 1 square and making and coming up to this second square over here. So it can jump 1 square on its first move. That is if the player chooses that, but generally pawns move one square in the forward direction only. All right, so an example, this is an example of a first move that I'm going to make. I'm going to jump 1 square and come over to this square here. So let me do that. Right, so that's an example of a pawn move. Okay, that's an example of a pawn move. All right, and then black can equally respond by jumping his 1 square as well. All right, so from here white can continue with making another pawn move. I'm simply going to be making pawn moves in this video, so this is an example of another pawn move. Okay, in this case this pawn only moved 1 square in the forward direction, but this one here had moved 2 squares. Had skipped 1 square and moved 2 squares in the forward direction. Okay, so that's the very basic piece in chess, and that's how it moves. All right, so I'm going to, in the next video, I'll be covering what happens, how the pawn captures, and how the pawn what happens when the pawn gets to the eighth rank. All right, thank you.